Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a hidden financial trap that catches, honestly, way too many hardworking private and platform chefs. If you're out there cooking for clients, taking bookings through platforms, and trying to build your own business, you are obviously working incredibly hard. But here's the big question. Are you actually keeping the money you make? We're going to uncover exactly why getting busier can literally mean your income goes backwards. It's wild, but it's true.
Okay, let's start with a really simple question. One that so many chefs actually get wrong. Does more turnover always mean more money in your pocket? I mean, it feels like the answer should obviously be yes, right? More bookings, more cooking, more cash. It makes total sense. But the reality? It's not that simple. Sometimes crossing one specific financial line makes running your business so much harder. And that line is the £90,000 of VAT threshold. So when your business grows and you hit £90,000 in turnover over a 12-month period, value-added tax, or VAT, becomes live. And the very moment that happens, boom, the rules of how you make money completely change. You literally cannot think about your sales in that same straightforward way anymore. Now, the absolute crucial point here is defining what turnover actually means, because this is where all the confusion starts. Turnover is the full value of the job before any platform commission is taken out. It's the big number the client pays. The tax office looks at that full value, so turnover is not just the smaller amount that eventually lands in your bank account after the booking platform takes its cut. Let's think about a $1,000 job, to put this in perspective. Even if the booking platform takes a 20% fee, meaning they keep $200 and you only see $800, the tax office still counts the full $1,000 towards your limit. And that, right there, pushes you to the VAT line much, much faster than you might expect. To see how this actually works out in the real world, let's look at a healthy business operating just below that danger zone. We'll call this the sweet spot, an £89,000 turnover. At this level, your business is still operating in a fairly clean, easy-to-understand way simply because VAT isn't live yet. So following the math here, if we start with that £89,000 turnover, the first thing we need to do is subtract a typical 20% platform fee. Next, we'll take away roughly 25% for your food costs and ingredients. And what's left over? Well, that's the money you actually keep. And that leaves you with a very healthy £48,950 before tax. Now, to be completely clear, this is before your personal income tax and before other small business costs like, fuel, insurance, or equipment. But in simple terms, this is a really solid, healthy margin. You did $89,000 of work and you kept almost $49,000. Not bad at all. But what happens to your hard-earned money if you decide to push just a little harder? Let's say you take on a few more dinners. You do just £5,000 more work in a year, which pushes your total bookings to £94,000. Without thinking about tax, that sounds like a fantastic idea, right? I mean, more work should equal more money. Well, this brings us straight into the £94,000 VAT trap. By doing that extra £5,000 of work, you've crossed the threshold, and part of your money now legally belongs to the tax office because VAT is live. And here is the absolutely critical mistake. Because you didn't charge the client extra, you have to absorb that tax right out of your own margin. If you try to absorb the VAT yourself, just watch what happens to the math. From your new £94,000 turnover, the tax office takes their VAT cut first. Only after that do you subtract the 20% platform fee and your 25% food costs. And that final step leaves us with the actual money you get to keep. Your rough pre-tax figure drops drastically to about £36,033. Just let that sink in for a second. You've worked more hours, you've cooked way more food, you've sold more to clients, but you have kept significantly less money. The shock is so clear when we compare these two realities. For doing just $5,000 more work, your true income drops by almost $13,000. Think about it. Staying just below VAT gave you nearly $49,000, but crossing over to a $94,000 turnover without changing your pricing, that drops your take-home money to just $36,033. It's a massive hit. So this leads us to a pretty painful warning. A bigger turnover number does not always mean a healthier business. I'll say it again. More turnover does not always mean more money. This is a tough lesson that so many chefs learn the hard way, simply by looking at that top sales number and ignoring the tax reality happening underneath it all. This is the VAT trap in plain English. You feel incredibly busy, you're physically exhausted from all the cooking, and you see bigger sales passing through the platform. It feels great. But VAT has silently cut so deeply into your margin that you are actually worse off for all that extra effort. All of this naturally raises a logical next question. If you actually do want to make £5,000 more in true income, meaning you want your pre-tax money to grow from £49,000 up to roughly £54,000, what does your turnover actually need to be to survive those VAT rules? Well, the sheer scale of the jump required is honestly staggering. To protect that extra £5,000 margin with VAT in play, you don't just need £98,000 in sales. No, you need a massive £126,941. That means you literally have to sell nearly £30,000 more food just to walk away with £5,000 extra in your pocket. Crazy, right? Now, the lesson here isn't to stay small forever. You absolutely shouldn't be afraid of success or growth, but you really must follow one golden rule: price properly for VAT before you try to grow past the line. If you plan to cross that threshold, your prices have to go up to cover the tax, so your margin stays fully protected. Let's just compare the two realities one last time to really lock this in. Below the line, making more sales is simple and clean. Every extra booking adds directly to your margin. But above that line, if you do not plan your prices, your real income actually goes backwards while you work harder than ever before.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, vital question to think about for your own business as you look at your calendar and your bookings. Are you blindly chasing turnover, or are you truly pricing for profit? Know your numbers, keep a close eye on that £90,000 line, and make sure your hard work is actually paying you. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.